Usually, when we look into the polling, it's just kind of simple. It's a simple poll of who do you prefer? Do you prefer this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy? But YouGov had some fascinating polls come out just now for 2028 and the nominees for both parties. They're really a lot more telling than those classic polls. So let's get right into the data. This is what I want to show you. YouGov asked percentage of Democrats who would be disappointed if any of the following became the 2028 Dem presidential nominee. And this is a much more interesting question, in my opinion, than simply who do you want. So again, this is percentage of Democrats who'd be disappointed by this person. Harris is only at 19%, and that's the highest number. Again, it's +4 from April. They've asked this question before, but that's not much. I mean, only 20% would be disappointed. And by the way, again, that does not mean they're not going to vote for her. I'm sure a lot of Democrats are going to vote for Harris over, whoever the Republican nominee is, even if they're disappointed. Under her, Bernie Sanders, I think that makes sense. He's very old. I think that's why they'd be disappointed. You got Cory Booker, also makes sense. Cory Booker sucks. Buttigieg, Warren, they're around 13 to 12%, and then it goes down to the nobodies. None of the above was 24%. 24% just said all of them are fine. Whatever. That's crazy, but it's fine. If you look, they did the same poll for Republicans. Percentage of Republicans who would be disappointed if any of the following became the 2028 GOP presidential nominee. I think Republicans, just based on the numbers, are a lot more in line with reality. Pence is at 44%. 44% say they'd be disappointed if he were the nominee. RFK Jr. is next at 29%, and Haley right behind in the same place at 29%. Trump Jr. at 21%. Cruz at 20%. We'll stop there. I mean, it just kind of goes down to other people. I actually think this one makes a lot of sense too. I mean, why in the world would anybody want Mike Pence to be in? And I think if you look, it really comes down to the people who would be most disappointed. It's mostly kind of the former Republican Party, like Pence and Haley, and then some people in the middle, like RFK Jr. And I think RFK Jr. makes perfect sense. For as much as he's done for MAHA and how awesome that is, he has no business being the Republican nominee. He is by no means a conservative. So I think that is really in line with reality. Trump Jr., I think, should be much higher. I don't think Trump Jr. should be even considered for the nominee. I think that's ridiculous. Personally, I've talked about that at length. So on one hand, right now, you've got Democrats who are game for anything, really. Because again, if we look back, these are not bad numbers. Harris is at 19%. That's the highest amount. Whereas Republicans, Pence was 44%. So Democrats are just good with whatever right now because they have zero leadership. If you ask, on a more candid level, for my job, I don't even know who to put in the thumbnails when I'm talking about the Democrat Party. I've had people in the comments be like, you put AOC in the thumbnail. You didn't talk about her. I'm like, the thumbnail, the title was about Democrats. Who do you want me to put in there? I don't even know who their leader is. So I'd try AOC sometimes. I might try Gavin Newsom. I might try Kamala Harris. But it's like, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Believe me, if I had a clear leader, when I talk about Republicans, I don't put a random person in. I put Donald Trump in. We know who the leader of the Republican Party is. It's Donald Trump. So again, on one hand, zero leadership. No one knows what's going on. And Republicans who are actually quite focused on what they don't like. They don't like RFK Jr. in terms of being the Republican nominee because he's got some liberal tendencies. And they don't like members of kind of the former Republican Party, the neocons. Now, if we look at the next poll, it continues to show the tricky place the Democrats are in. And again, this is not just a simple poll of, who do you like more? I think it's much better. It says percent of Democrats who would consider voting for so-and-so. And this is interesting. Newsom is at 55%, up 24 from April. That's clearly just name recognition coming in. No one knew who he was before, even though he's governor of California. But now that he's kind of sparring with Donald Trump, some people like him a lot more. And they're actually considering. 55% would consider voting. Under that is Harris at 54, right behind. Buttigieg at 41, Waltz at 40, AOC at 38, and it just keeps going down from there. So you've got a lot of support. A lot of people would consider voting for Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris again, which is crazy. If you look over at the Republican side, again, which I think is much more reasonable, percent of Republicans who would consider voting for, Vance is at 65%. Very good. And DeSantis is very high as well at 40%. Now, if you look at the actual polling, Vance is up in the 50s. And DeSantis is at 8%. But when you talk about considering, then it starts to open things up. Would you consider voting for DeSantis? Most people say yes. Trump, not most, but many people rather say yes. Most people say Vance. Many people say DeSantis. Many people say Trump Jr. at 37%. No, guys, no. Enough with the Trump Jr. I think Trump Jr. is a good guy. He has absolutely no business being in politics. He has been very tied up with the Qatari government in terms of business. I don't think that this is a kingship that Donald Trump is passing on to his son, as some people have joked about. It's a funny joke. I got no problems with the joke. But politically speaking, this would not go over well. He would not win an election. He absolutely would not. So it's stupid. But Democrats have zeroed in on Newsom, Kamala Harris, Buttigieg, AOC, and Tim Walz. Republicans have zeroed in on Vance, DeSantis, Trump Jr., Rubio. The number for Republicans is much shorter, if you look, because they are more unified. The high numbers are there for only a few people for Republicans. If you look at the Democrats, the high numbers for a lot of them. Right now, if you're looking at DeSantis, who is in the second place behind Vance, I actually don't think he's going to run for president. I don't think he should. I think Vance is going to have to face off against the old Republican Party. I think those are the only people that are going to run against him. Maybe Nikki Haley again, maybe Chris Christie, maybe Ted Cruz, but probably not even Ted Cruz. I think Nikki Haley is going to be the second place when it comes to the Republican nominee. It's not going to be close either. It's going to be 10% to 90%. But I think if you're DeSantis right now, you know this is not your moment. Even though I think DeSantis is wildly popular, you know it's not your moment. Because as I've said, you can see the polling for Vance is very, very high. As high as Donald Trump's polling was this time last election cycle. As I've said before, I much prefer DeSantis. Why? Because he's probably the greatest Republican governor in American modern history, ever, both in his ability to actually pass conservative legislation that benefits people, but also in his ability to persuade leftists, people on the on the liberal end, to become conservative. You've seen it happen in Florida. But J.D. Vance, on the other hand, has not had a lot of experience governing at all. He was only in the Senate for 2 years. He's now VP, which is the most useless job in the country. Not his fault, but just the reality. And he also does have some very troubling business and big tech billionaire connections, like with Peter Thiel, who's not trustworthy at all. So in any case, regardless of what I think it's clear that Vance will be the nominee. So what I think DeSantis should do is negotiate with Vance. I don't think that he should waste money or his energy or his reputation running against J.D. Vance. You should ask for a big, large cabinet role, maybe even the VP, in exchange for not running for him. And then he can just step in 2036 and be the successor to J.D. Vance, just like J.D. Vance was with Donald Trump. One more piece of data that we got. This is another poll. You could see that Democrats and Republicans answered what their most electable presidential candidates were. And this is in the same poll. And I think this is very telling again about I'm not talking about the elites. I'm talking about the actual people voting, the voters in each party. People think in the Democrat Party that the most electable presidential candidates are Newsom, Harris, and Buttigieg. You've got in the Democrat Party, the straight white male at number one, the guy who made up all the COVID rules and then didn't follow any of them, who has a poop city when he was mayor of San Francisco, who's done a horrible job in California. You've got Harris, who just lost to Donald Trump and is one of the worst politicians in history, can't run a primary at all. And then you've got Buttigieg, who literally had children with his husband pledge allegiance to the gay flag. Those are the people they think are the most electable. Then you've got the Donald Trump party. It is the Donald Trump party. You've got the Republican Party that says Vance is the most electable. After that, it's Trump Jr. and then DeSantis. Vance at 53%, easily. I mean, I think he is very electable in many ways. Very good speaker. Again, I have some political differences with him, but I think he is electable. He's very reasonable, very well-spoken, very good at debating. Trump Jr. is absolutely crazy. I don't know what these people are doing. It looks like 10% of the Republican Party do not know anything about politics. That's fine. And then DeSantis at 7%. All of that makes sense. So all in all, these polls say much more, again, about the political party's voting body than the people in the actual polls. Republicans are unified. They're realistic for the most part. Democrats are completely off when it comes to electability. They do not know what it means to be electable. I think that's going to have huge consequences when it comes to kind of garnering that independent support, because if Democrats are very electable in the Democrat body, that only does them so well in a general election. If Republicans actually know it's electable, they're going to take in all that independent support and win. So I think that gives Republicans a huge edge in 2028. The progressive left is a cult. I talk about it all the time. I know you've heard about it a lot. In my book, A New Cult. Go check it out right now if you haven't already. It's time to finally get it. I talk about some fun and crazy stories that a lot of people have not heard about, so go check it out right now. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it, and you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here